Back here on Hawks Sports Talk, we'll move from the coaching standpoint now to another member of the women's basketball team, the freshman forward in Darby Lee out of Altoona, Pennsylvania. And I had made the reference to tuna. So do you eat seafood or do you eat tuna? Do you have to eat tuna or seafood when you're from Altoona?
Oh, I love seafood, but we don't have to eat tuna. It's not an obligation.
It's funny because I went to school in Oswego, New York, and if you're from Oswego, New York, they teach you how to say Oswego as we go. So how were you taught how to say Altoona, Pennsylvania?
I don't know. It's not really that difficult.
All right. I don't know. I just figured that it's a funny name, Altoona, PA. You know,
Yeah.
We'll get to Grafton, Wisconsin in a little bit. But let's go back to the beginning of the season, kind of some hopes to kind of fill in that void for the post position. You play a couple games, then you get injured, stress fracture, and now that you've been back for a couple games, do you feel back into the groove?
I'm getting there. Still really don't know what I'm doing. Learning along the way, but it's great to be back, and I just continue to learn and watch because I'm not fully back yet, just slowly coming back, and I hope to be back soon.
Well, you're not fully back yet, and the classic saying, I guess, with Allen Iverson, practice. We're talking about practice, and I know that you don't practice because they're trying to give you some time off. Do you get any slack from the girls with that? And what do you actually do to make sure that, is it rest?
No, the girls don't really say much about it. They know that I have to rest so I can actually play in the games, but I actually hate that because I don't get the reps in practice to actually know what we're doing and fully prepare for the game. So that's a big downfall of being injured. But in practice, I mostly just watch and really try to absorb everything that's going on. So when I do get in the game, I'm not fully lost. But yeah, it's pretty difficult not practicing.
Well, you do a pretty good job of, I guess, what they call the poker face. I talk about it a lot on the radio, how you look very focused and determined when you're on the court. And you're selling me because it seems like you know what you're doing.
Well, I try because I really don't.
We're here on Hawks Sports Talk. We're sitting down with the forward from Altoona, Pennsylvania in Darby Lee. Let's go all the way back to the decision to come to the University of Hartford. Obviously there's a recruiting process. They bring you up here. They try to pitch you. They sell you. Take us back to the time where you got the phone call and, they were like, we want you here at the University of Hartford, and what went through the process, whether it was, sitting down with your parents. Just take us through that process of making the decision to become a Hartford Hawk.
Well, I had a couple offers, and Hartford was actually my only visit. So I came up here, and before I came, my high school coach was like, they're going to try to get you to commit. They already told me that they want you. They never personally told me that yet. So I came up here for an unofficial visit and just hung out with the girls, talked to the coaches, and I felt really, really comfortable, and I loved everything about it. And on that visit, I actually committed. Like, the first day we were there, I met everybody. Coach told me about the program, went back to the hotel with my parents. I talked about it. We all agreed that it felt like a great fit for me. And the next day, I told her I wanted to come here.
Wow, so it was that quick, huh?
Yeah, it was like one of those things that you just know that it's going to be good.
Where were the other places that were recruiting you? It's okay to tell us.
I don't really even remember. Niagara was one, a local school at home, St. Francis, Sacred Heart a little bit. That's mostly it. There's a few more, but
yeah,
don't really remember.
That's pretty cool. That's a good story. I always like asking people that story because, you get, the only commonality that I get is the fact that everybody felt comfortable with the girls. And that's the one thing that everybody says, but everybody's got a different story, which is great. Let's talk a little bit about your folks. Had a chance to meet them in Mexico. Obviously, you live far away, so they don't get to come to all the games, but What is it like knowing the fact that they live far away, but they try to make it to as many games? And, when you get to look up and see them in the stands, how do you feel about that?
I love when they come. I was definitely a homebody in high school. My mom was my best friend, and my dad, same way.
They seem pretty cool.
Yeah, they're awesome. And my sister, oh my gosh, she's my best friend in the whole world. So knowing that they're 6 hours away is really difficult. I'll go through every once in a while just really, really missing them. But they do try to come up as much as they can. Like you said, they came to Cancun, which was great. They're actually coming to the game this Saturday, which is really good. Darcy won't be there, though, which is sad. But, yeah, I talk to my mom every day on the phone. So keep in touch.
It's always good to keep the parents close by. Before we let you go, obviously we've only seen you in a handful of games. As I mentioned before, I feel like you have this good poker face on where you're getting the job done. You seem focused. You're always asking for the basketball down low. What is the best aspect of your game in your personal opinion?
I feel like offensively on the block is where I have my most success, simply because I've never been a great defensive player ever in my life. I'm so bad at defense, but trying to get better at that. And offense, still trying to get in the flow of this team's offense. It's very different from what I played in high school. So that was the biggest challenge.
All right. Well, I'm sure I guess the first step is acknowledging that. But I'm pretty sure by the time you graduate here, you'll become a better defensive player. I could probably, if I could put money on that, I would. But with Coach Rosati and her staff, defense-minded first always, right?
Yes, definitely.
We appreciate the time you stopping by.
Thanks.
That is Darby Lee from Altoona, Pennsylvania. She was nervous, but she did a fantastic job.